Good morning, everybody. I'm Tim McNiff. Let me give you a little peek behind the curtain. First of all, Willi Myles has boasted about the fact that he only works 45 minutes a day. So now first we're waiting for him to start this day because he's fashionably late. And then he starts busting my chops about the fact that I don't send the thing in time. And it's like, and then he won't stop talking. I can't start the thing. So it's like,
I was just going by the information that I was reading in front of me, brother. I received the prompt.
Good morning, everybody. And welcome to Let's Play Every Day. I'm Tim McNiff. It is my great honor to welcome a panel of influencers from Minnesota sports, business, and entertainment communities where we take on the sports talkers of the day. Today's show is sponsored by Nick Gross and the great folks at Northern Lids. Check them out at northernlids.com. Nick and I had a conversation. I told them, I want to wear the lid, and I wore the lid when KG and I were on earlier today, but I feel like I should be more professional, like doing this show. So I'm not going to wear the hat. He's good with that as long as we keep doing this. So
when do we get our lids? I mean, Nick, I need a lid.
Nick,
I mean,
good question. You hear this? Really they're looking for the stuff.
Tim's
super question.
Come on.
So if you guys are answering a question, all of a sudden you see me go like this. Don't let it break your thought.
I'm having a good hair day, but I could use a hat either way. I'm in for a new Northern Lid.
Right.
All right. Hey, you guys, I go every night, you guys, and I like meticulously try to plan this thing out. I really do. And we'll get into that in just a minute. So I check my watch, and by my watch, which as you can see is really expensive, I think the good feelings we had from the Kaprizov signing lasted roughly 21 hours when the news broke that the Timberwolves had fired president of basketball operations Gerson Rosas. And instead of being surprised, there was this collective reaction like,
it's about time.
Yeah, Timberwolves. Yeah, sounds about right. No, it really isn't. So we're going to talk about that going forward. We have a first here today on Let's Play Every Day. We have our first all-male cast of characters led by, yes, America's favorite comedian, Willi Myles. Yesterday, while the T-Wolves were imploding, Kevin Gorg was back at his winter happy place. He's wearing it right there. You can see it. He was at Tria Rink, creating content for the Minnesota Wild for Bally Sports North. And finally, do not sleep on Darrell Thompson. When the man is not breaking down the Gopher football team on a play-by-play basis, he and the good folks at Boulder Options are impacting young folks for the better. And for that, we tip our hat. And for that, we are thankful. Nice job, DT. All right, first of all, indeed, first day of fall yesterday, and what a fall for Timberwolves basketball president of operations Gerson Rosas. T-Wolves announcing in a statement from outgoing owner Glenn Taylor that the team and Rosas have parted ways. Seemingly with a straight face, Taylor followed with, and I quote, "As an organization, we remain committed to building a winning team that our fans and city can be proud of." Say, Glenn, when exactly did this commitment to winning begin? Because I may have missed that. Consider that in 32 seasons, the Timberwolves have made the playoffs a total of 9 times. They did so 8 years in a row. And during that 8-year stretch, they were eliminated from the playoffs in the first round in 7 of those seasons. That is not pathetic. That is absurd. So Sachin Gupta, who is the executive vice president of basketball operations, will now oversee basketball ops, at least in the interim. Daryl Thompson, everybody thinks of you as a football guy, but you have deep roots in the local hoops community, and people who are close to this organization are in your social group. So I was going to ask you, did you see any hint at this coming when I went back and read one of the articles and I saw by Chip Scoggins in the Minneapolis paper where he said there may have been an improper relationship, which hastened Rosas's departure. We're 5 days away from the start of the players reporting to camp, and here we go again. I mean, did you have any hint that anything like this was coming?
Probably a little bit. I think the whatever the relationship is, that might have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But I don't think anyone inside the organization was really happy with what was going on with him. The decisions he was making, a lot of the pieces that he interviewed through, they weren't followed through with, as far as him following, saying, I'm gonna do these things. Those things weren't happening. So when you're on the inside saying, I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then you actually do not do X, Y, or Z, and it's visible from the internal staff, the external staff, the broadcast team, everyone sees it, are kind of like, they start kind of rubbing their heads and, rubbing their chins and being like, well, this isn't working. So that, whatever happened. But I feel like it's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Okay, this is all wonderful insight. KG Rosas named president of basketball operations on May 1, 2019. He had the job for 2 years and change. He inherited a mess. I mean, the Ryan Saunders thing, that was his, but he also had to get rid of, a guy who, Andrew Wiggins, who just was sort of a enigma, a mystery. He inherited that. I mean, did he have enough time to get this thing better than it was?
We probably didn't have enough time if you just look at, what he inherited and the amount of time it's going to take to get this team back into playoff conversation. That being said, to Darrell's point, you kind of could see this coming behind the scenes. And then, with the timing of the decision yesterday, all of us were over at Tria Rink working on the other side of the river, working wild hockey. We're like, well, the timing smells fishy. Like there's something going on here more than just the basketball ops side of things, Timmy. And now we're getting to that. The rubber is meeting the road on some of that stuff, because you're not going to wait through the entire process of free agency and the draft and summer and then wait till just before training camp starts and then make this change. So there was a lot more to this story than meets the eye.
Well, there you go, Willie. I mean, the timing of this does seem so strange, even by Timberwolves standards. I mean, so we're 5 days away from the players reporting to camp, and then we had all this. We were talking about this yesterday on the show. So much smoke around the Ben Simmons thing and the pursuit, and it seemed like the Timberwolves were hell bent on making that happen. Was that Rosas trying to throw like a last minute Hail Mary to save his job, or legit? And you fire your guy 5 days before the start of camp. I mean, this team's starting over without a vice president of basketball operations. Even for you and for me and Timberwolves standards, isn't that weird?
That's very weird, Tim. This team's been starting over for 32 years, but it's almost like you're right. This was a Hail Mary pass on his part, because there's no way they were going to get Ben Simmons anyway. And second of all, I mean, I think the kid is toxic right now, and he doesn't want to be with the team that he's with. He doesn't want to play anymore with Philly, and he wants to trade. But the Timberwolves is not the team for him. Literally, I mean, he won't take an outside shot, so that's how it was. But anyway, at the end of the day, this guy was like, I mean, I think Rosa was like, he was like he was going against the forces, and the force wasn't with him. And you're right. I think he was trying to do anything to shake up just to get him another week or two by. But I think it's a bad move anytime you let your GM go in the midst of beginning training camp. I mean, you just throw a monkey wrench in the whole game. I mean, because the players are all they don't know what's going to happen. You know what I mean? The coach doesn't know what's going to happen. Who you bringing in? You know what I mean? It's like somehow or another, Minnesota sports trying to just any way to just complicate things that are already complicated.
That is the absolute truth. Darrell, this move might have Glenn Taylor's name on it, but it's hard to believe that this happens without the blessing, if not the direct involvement, of Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lohr, who are the incoming owners. So Willie is not in favor of the whole Ben Simmons thing, and I'm not sure that I am either after what happened, in the whole playoffs. And I kind of like the direction that Rosas seemed to be going with this team. Talk about the effect in the locker room if you're a player, and all of a sudden there goes the president of basketball operations, and you've seen your name or this talk about potentially that to get a deal of this magnitude done, multiple people are going to be involved, which means it might be you.
That's a big question, and I feel like the whole piece about Gerson, being let go and the effect on the team it's not a humongous deal because he was only there 2 years, So I mean, I feel like it's a strange piece, and I'm just not a fan of Ben Simmons, period. Quite honestly, I mean, just from watching him in college, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a big specimen. He's athletic. He can do things, but if you can't make a shot, which I think is very important in basketball, shooting the basketball, then I probably don't need you on my team. he's not a role player. If I was like, someone who's just going to go get like 14 rebounds, I'd be like, oh yeah, I want that guy, 14 rebounds or something. But your point guard needs to be able to shoot, needs to be able to finish at the rim, and he has all the tools. And it doesn't seem like he's kind of got that element. And he's also, I'm demanding I want to leave from Philadelphia right now. So it's when someone says they demand they want to leave and that they want to be there, I'm not that interested. I wasn't interested before, and that makes me even less interested in him if he's making demands. I'd be surprised if he came here, and I think it'd be a mistake if he did.
KG and Willie, listening to Daryl, couldn't you hear Daryl just be a GM and fire somebody and they actually leave the room like smiling and feeling good about it?
His voice, there's no doubt the conviction. He makes good points. You really can't argue with what he's saying. And, it's too bad because to your point, Timmy, there was some momentum here. The coaching change seemed to work. And now in typical Timberwolves fashion, there is just a cloud of mystery as to what happened. Was it an inappropriate relationship? And where are they going now with this new ownership group that will be taking over soon? It's very, very vintage Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yes. So before we change gears, of the many, 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 many mistakes the Timberwolves have made as an organization, the worst, of course, passing on Steph Curry not once, but twice in the first round of the 2009 draft. The second worst, however, happened back in 1996 when they drafted Ray Allen, and they had him for like 3 hours only to trade him for Stephon Marbury on the same night. Willi Myles, don't tell me I'm wrong, because this is a hill that I will die on.
You are not wrong. You are not wrong.
Thank you. I've had people fight me on Twitter about this, and I'm just like, are you kidding me? You got Kevin Garnett and you got Ray Allen. I can play point guard, and this team might win, it'd be a playoff team. Seriously.
Absolutely. Look, I'm not even going to argue with you. You are absolutely correct.
If you and I were in the same room right now, Willie, I would be draped on you right now, hugging you because of how much abuse I've taken from my Ray Allen take. And I love you, brother.
But you saw it. We saw it with our own eyes.
He's got rings.
0 sense.
Yeah, he's got rings.
Made 0 sense.
Oh.
I don't know what they were thinking at that time, but that's their thinking. That's been their process for 32 years.
I don't think you can top, though, Johnny Flynn in front of Steph. That, to me, is number one with a bullet. I mean, that will never be topped, I hope, in Timberwolves history. Twice is fine, but Johnny Flynn over Steph, he was out of the league in 2 years. He was out of the league in 2 years. The other guys
didn't even get a start.
Oh, just – I worked that draft. We were covering that draft for Fox Sports North, and I'm over there with Kevin Lynch, and being the hockey guy, I'm literally just listening to everything Kevin tells me. And as the draft was unfolding before our eyes, he's like, "Oh my gosh, we might get Steph Curry." And now I'm the Rube fan going, "Oh my God, we're going to get this guy." And Lynch is telling me on the whole, "Hey, they're going to get him." And then it played out the way it did, and it's like, "Oh my goodness."
Yeah, the dumbest thing about that is it's not like they didn't know his dad was in the league forever, and his dad, Del Curry, hit everything. That guy never missed. It's just like, do you not see this? It's like.
You know what I was thinking? I think they thought this guy's too good to be here.
Right. It's too good to be true, right? We can't do it.
Whatever magazines David Kahn had spread over in front for that draft, not the right ones. So.
Hey, now.
No, I didn't mean that. I meant like athlon.
Family show here, Timmy.
Wow, we definitely have an all-guy thing here today, and it's just going off the rails. Let me try to. I'm blushing. Let me try to bring this one back. Gosh,
Flynn kid. What if we take this Flynn kid? That's a gamble. Oh yeah, let's do that. We'll look like heroes if it works out.
Oh, not only did the Minnesota Wild sign forward Darrell Kaprizov to a 5-year contract. This time I'm going to put the banner up on time. We find out that Kaprizov came to the United States early so he could quarantine and get vaccinated. Are you kidding me? And he wanted to get to the Wild training camp on time because, are you ready for this? Because he wants to play here and he wants to win here. Darrell Thompson, as a guy who is beloved in this community, even after you wore the green and gold of the Packers, how far does something like that go among the fan base here when you show them how much you actually want to be here?
I mean, he's an example for what we need in the United States. Let's go ahead and take care of your business. But I think it says a lot. I mean, I think that the person that reminds me of the most when I was thinking about this question earlier today is Kirby Puckett. Where someone's like, get on my back. I'm excited. I'm, people like, and he had an unfortunate, early death. But I mean, Kirby was a guy that was beloved. I mean, I met him at a charity event, and he was like, "Hey, DT, come over," and I was like, he called me DT, Kirby, So I mean, it's such a he was beloved by like everyone, and every time I saw him, he's like, "Hey, jump in my car, let's ride around, let's talk," and he dropped me back off, and just a wonderful, wonderful human beings. And I hope that Kirill can, carry on that type of Minnesota tradition.
You just have opened so many doors right here. So back to my broadcasting career, I'm an intern at CARE, and they send me to start covering the team in '87 down the stretch. They're like, they're going to fold. We just need someone there to go and ask some questions. I went in that locker room, and there's Herbeck, and there's Gayati, and there's all these guys, and Bernansky, and I would just go like this with Kirby, and I would just hold out the microphone, and I would stand there. About the third time, the photographer goes on the drive back, he goes, you can ask a question. And I'm just like, what if I ask a dumb one? And Kirby Puckett says to me, "You're an idiot. Get away from me." So 2-3 years later, when all of a sudden he starts calling me Mac, I swear to God, the hairs on my arms stood up, and I just went, he knows who I am. You know what I mean? That was so, yeah, Daryl, I was wondering about that yesterday. I was trying to put in context athletes who we've had who like see the game different, make everybody else around them different. That name never came up. And I'm kicking myself because that was a beautiful analogy. KG, you were there yesterday. You were there for media day. How would you describe the mood for all involved for the Minnesota Wild with Kaprizov there, signed, sealed, and delivered in the flesh?
Yeah, there was a buzz. LaPant and I kind of divided up the roster. We had a room where each guy would come through. So we each got half the club, and every guy that came in had a smile on their face. It came up. It was a topic of conversation before we started recording. And, it's refreshing, I think, for those players because there were so many questions about whether he would be coming back, the length of the contract, but then to see how motivated he was to be a part of this team. And in a world where players are always trying to do less when it comes to training camp in all sports, that he wanted to be there, to be with his team and to be at the rink, I think says something, and he's already a leader. And then you think about the landscape of that locker room and the way Bill Guerin's trying to build this and removing the veteran presence and the big shadow cast by Suter and Parisi and kind of turning the baton over to the younger guys, and this guy being one of them. A huge statement by Kaprizov, and I think it'll give the Wild a lot of momentum into camp here, and we'll see if they can build on it.
Well, let me just stay with you for just a moment then. How much should we be reading between the lines to see who is centering Kaprizov at each and every practice and every shift?
It'll be a huge topic for all of us in the media. I'll be over there later today to watch. It'll be something that'll be, day by day updated on social media. And from Michael Russo to Jesse Pierce to myself to everybody that covers the team, we're going to be waiting to see when Marco Rossi gets that opportunity. We already know that Victor Rask had a good go of it in that spot, but long-term, he likely is not the answer. Fingers crossed, Marco Rossi at some point can be that guy. He's awfully young. He has zero NHL experience, so I think it's asking a lot right off the hop here to start the season. But training camp gives you at least the chance to try something. The preseason also affords you that opportunity, and I think Dean Evison and that coaching staff, along with Bill Guerin, will find a way to make that happen at some point, and it will be the talk of Wild training camp. I can promise you that.
Willie, the only question that people really had about this whole thing was the money that Kaprizov was seeking and got after playing only 55 games in the NHL. But if you factor in that he did play 2 seasons in the KHL in Russia, where he led that league in scoring twice and won a championship, in which is arguably the second best hockey league in the world, are you comfortable with the sample size that we saw of Kirill Kaprizov to get this kind of a contract?
I am never happy with that. I don't think. I think that those leagues are different than the NHL. The NHL, everybody is as good. You know what I mean? And I think that international leagues around the world are great leagues. Outside of soccer, because that's the sport. But the NBA, the NFL, the NHL, Major League Baseball. You're talking about the best of the best. You know what I mean? And I think anytime you come in, look, we've seen this before. You know what I mean? And hype is one thing. This kid is great. But I remember the hype behind Sidney Crosby. That's a great hockey player. I remember when Michael Jordan was drafted. But I saw how long it took them to build a team around him to actually win championships. You can give a guy a whole bunch of money for 5 years, but if you don't win a championship in 5 years, then he's looking to go somewhere else to take his talents where he can win the championship. So, going back to what KG said, I mean, you got a lot of young. They're turning the baton over to this kid and the young players on that team. But at the end of the day, the GM, they got to make all the right moves to make sure that they can maximize. Because this kid's got the last 2 years of his contract, he has a non-movement deal in it. He doesn't have to go if he doesn't want to, and that's good. But if he wants to, he can.
Yeah, well, hoping it never comes to that.
He's gonna. I mean, it's I don't know anything about hockey, but I know talent when I see it. And when I went to the game last year to watch, I was like, they said, "Well, that." I said, I know when I see I'm like that guy can do it. I don't even know all the things he's trying to do. I can't break it down at all, but I recognize talent. I was like, and that guy right there, if you can build around him, then you got something. So, I mean, and it doesn't come around very often. So the 55 games we saw, I saw 3, one in person and 2 on TV. So I'm not my sample size is eensy weensy, but I did recognize he has the juice, and I'm a fan of the juice. So I'm saying, I pay him and build around him, and let's keep on moving. Otherwise, you're like in New York, you would get like what we have hey, you know what? He probably goes to New York or somewhere. It's like and we're the same thing with baseball. Another pitcher that we say, we had that guy, but we he had he mouthed off or he said something, he left. So no, you got the juice, you got to ride it.
No, I thought for sure with the lockdown last year, he never got out of his apartment. He never got to experience the Twin Cities or really do anything. I thought, man, he will want to come back. And he's got guys in this league. I mean, it was a couple of Olympics ago where he's on the same line with Ovechkin. So it's not like he doesn't know guys who are in the league who can give him the landscape of the league and say, you don't want to be there. You'd rather be here. But that's why when I'm hearing him say, I wanted to be here and I want to win with this team, I'm like, okay, he can have whatever he wants. The key to the city, whatever it is, I'll water his lawn. I don't care. What do you need me to do? I'm thrilled to have him here. All right, we're going to switch gears, you guys, before we run this too late in the day, because I know all 3 of you are golfers. And I'm just guessing that you have at least a passing interest in the Ryder Cup. Willie, the Euros have won 9 of the last 12 competitions, despite the fact that the U.S. team always looks better on paper. Why is this?
Because I think for one, Tim, I think it's the cup. It's bigger than one man, and they are considered underdogs every year. The U.S. team on paper always looks humongous. And I just don't think that while the Europeans play with so much passion, because I think that they know that they're the underdog, they accept it humbly. And they go out and play, where the U.S. team really accept the fact that on paper, they're a better squad, and they go out and play like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's the pressure. There's more pressure on the USA team to win than it is on the Europeans. And the Europeans they play to that. And but I just think they're a better team-oriented team than the U.S. team. Our guys are so individual, and egotistical. And I don't say that to be mean. I just say that these guys, our top 25 guys and their top 25 guys are not even the same financial situation. I mean, they got contracts and they got these money that's coming from everywhere, where they walk around with this swag about them that, if they win the trophy, that's just another trophy on their case. You know what I mean? But I mean, they want to win, but it's just about passion, and it's about what are you willing to do. No U.S. guy wants to sit out any round. They want to play every round. And where the European guys, whatever their captain said, and they do pick great captains. They always have great win or lose. They have great captains, and then these guys follow, whatever the captain says they do. And you never read about it in the press that they were ticked about it. But ours, it's always something.
Patty Harrington for the Euros and Steve Stricker for Team USA. Daryl, this is the first Ryder Cup competition since 1993 with no Tiger Woods or Phil Mickelson on Team USA. There are 6 first-timers and 8 players in their 20s on Team USA. So why do I feel so good about their chances, and do you share my optimism?
I do. I think eventually it comes time to pass the torch. You look at, Hogan, and Nicklaus, and Tiger Woods, and all the phenomenal players that have been, part of our team here for the U.S. And I think eventually it just becomes time where you've got to pass that torch. So I'm excited about this year. Hopefully we can win it. And I tell you, it's interesting in all my research. What I found this morning was that the golf might have the most beautiful wives and girlfriends. They said that, the wives and girlfriends, everything. I was like, Ryder Cup research, trying to, research the teams. I was like, wives and girlfriends, women, the beautiful women of the tour. I was like, wow, I need to be a little bit better fan. I got to tune in and see exactly, see what's going on.
Yeah, they'll get their time on this one.
Hey, I'm researching. I told my wife this morning I'm researching. What's that? I said research. This is research.
Well, hey guys, I got to know. Here comes the dark cloud on this whole thing. I've already had this conversation on another program today where on It's Gorgomatic, Kevin Gorg set me straight. Go ahead, KG. I'm hearing Barbara Streisand in my background right now singing Don't Rain on My Parade, but go ahead.
Well, I want the U.S. to win. I was out at Hazeltine wearing my red, white, and blue, going crazy cheering for this team. I want them to win. My heart says the U.S. is going to win. My head and the gambling side of things says, wait a minute here. The U.S. is a big favorite. I can get Europe at plus 225 on my $100 wager. And to me, the Ryder Cup is not about talent. It's about guts. It's about courage. It's about facing pressure. And it's about cohesion of the team. And you watch these guys play on the European Tour, and after the round gets over, they're all in the pub together. Where you look at the guys on the side of the U.S. and they're with their private coach. They've got the swing coach. They've got their head coach, and they're out there in these little pockets of players. You got DeChambeau and Koepka getting after each other on social media and creating this real disjointed feel to the U.S. team. And then I think about the juice that Daryl talked about. Kaprizov brings the juice, right? And you look at what USA has in terms of juice. Tiger Woods, not there. Phil Mickelson, not there. Patrick Reed, not there. These guys all bring the juice. There are 2 players on this team with any personality that can bring the juice. It ain't Harris English. It ain't Xander Schauffele, and it certainly ain't Patrick Cantlay. It's 2 guys, Spieth or DeChambeau, and they both need to bring that juice this weekend to get that crowd into it, because the one thing that U.S. has going for them, aside from the talent, is it's on their course in front of their fans, and it's going to be electric. Those Wisconsin fans are going to be lubed up and ready. The problem I have with this team, and we talked about it about an hour ago, Timmy, is Sergio Garcia is maybe the 6th or 7th best player on Team Europe. He has 25.5 career points in this event. Ironically, the entire U.S. roster has 25.5 total points. I've got a problem with the way this team is constructed. Patrick Reed should be there. I would even put Phil Mickelson on this team before some of these guys. I'm worried that if it's not a blowout early for the U.S. and it's tight on Sunday, the pressure could get to them. And I've got Westwood, and I've got Garcia, and I've got Tyrell Hatton. I've got these Bulldogs waiting on the other side that might not be as talented, but when push comes to shove, one-on-one, mano-a-mano, with the Ryder Cup on the line, look out.
Here's where I will take an opposite take on Sunday, okay? The oldest player on Team USA is Dustin Johnson. He's 37 years old. Among the Euros, Garcia, who you talked about, is 41. Ian Poulter, who has killed the United States in the past, is 45. Lee Westwood, the British Bulldog, is 48. I'm thinking by Sunday afternoon, if Europe doesn't have a comfortable lead, I see the U.S. This is day 3. They should be over their jitters. They're going to hit it long. They're going to hit it strong. And I put my money on the young guys at that point. Willie, you buying any of this? What I'm selling?
No. I wouldn't buy it. I turn you away. I'd call the police on you if you showed up my door talking like that.
Oh, boy, Willie.
And I live right across the street from the police, man. Look here, man. The thing about that, look, I'm with KG. I want the U.S. to win. I want them to win, but they have to want it too. You know what I mean? And the thing is that the American players, first of all, they play with a stacked deck. They play with house money, and they have all the pressure. And the thing is that you talk about, Poulter and Westwood. These guys got, what do you say? oil running in their blood, man. It's thick, and country is stronger than any type of individualism inside of these guys. They want to win for their team, not for themselves, for their teams. And like KG said, after every round, these guys are together as a team. Our guys split off. And look, I just say that the Euros, I like those guys. I'm not a big Sergio fan, but the numbers don't lie. And when your numbers add up to pretty much the whole team, that gives your team hope and make you humbly accept the fact that you're the underdog, because you know at the end of the day, it's all about the pressure. And if you young guys may crumble, you're talking about Phil Mickelson, and you're talking about Tiger Woods, and you're talking about, all these other guys that should probably be there. And they're not going to do that. If they miss, they miss, but they don't crumble under pressure. These guys eat pressure for breakfast. And these young guys be like, yeah, I got about 5-6 more years I can play in this tournament. You're 20-something years old. You're going to get the team. You know what I mean? I just got to stay in the top 25 every year. But that's, and that's how they look at it. Dustin Johnson, yeah, he might be their only hope as far as I'm concerned. And I'm a Jordan Spieth fan. I'm not gonna lie, but I just think that over the last couple of years, I mean, he's made a huge turnaround, and his game went like what mine did at one point. But I paid to play, and he was getting paid to play. So.
Yeah, even back in 2016 when he was at the top of his game, it didn't go well for him at Hazeltine either. He didn't handle the pressure well, but I'm still optimistic. Daryl Thompson, give the folks out there kind of a glimpse behind the curtain as to the personal life of Daryl Thompson. Where does the Ryder Cup rank for you in terms of you're going to make time this weekend to just sit in front of the TV and watch?
It's probably about my third priority after multiple NFL games, but I got the split screen, so I'll be keeping track, and I'll probably be watching a little bit more. So yeah, it ranks up there with me.
Nice. All right, that's where we're going to leave the conversation for now. Willi Myles, what's happening in your life? Where can people find you? What do they need to know?
I mean, today I'm just going to be at home if they want to find me, but. Other than that,
can they do that? You want to give an address?
No. Don't go there.
If you want to sit at home, if you want to sit at home and at your comfort of your home and watch me on YouTube, see Willi Myles. If you want to come to see me publicly, go to my website, seewillymyles.com, or just just Google my name, click on public shows. If you want to book me, go to my website, click on booking, and it'll bring you right to Geoberg Entertainment. So that's where you can find me. Everything's under See Willi Myles.
Beautiful. Daryl Thompson, is there still time for people to attend the Boulder Options Dinner?
We got about 10 or 15 seats left. So yeah, we reduced it a lot this year with COVID. So we're only having 175 people at our event this year versus 400. So it's significantly reduced this year. So we're almost sold out. So yeah, but thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Where do people go if they want to sign up?
BoulderOptions.org.
Kevin Gorg, I would say enjoy your time over at Trio Rink today, but something tells me you pretty much already got that covered, right?
Yeah, I get to go watch Kaprizov. I'm going to be in the car in about 5 minutes. Can't wait to get to St. Paul. And hockey season has officially started. And it actually feels like it, even though the calendar officially says fall, it feels like hockey season is just around the corner with the way that the temperatures have certainly changed.
That is for sure. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time today, as always. So the Minnesota Timberwolves, they appear to be headed for another rebuild. So do the Minnesota Twins. And with a couple more losses, probably the Minnesota Vikings too. What did we ever do as sports fans to deserve this? Then comes word that not only is Kirill Kaprizov coming back, but he says he wants to be here, that he wants to play here, and that he wants to win here with the Minnesota Wild. Willi Myles said the other day that all of these teams need to forge an identity. Well, the Minnesota Wild now have an identity. And it's not Kirill Kaprizov. Not yet, anyway. It's their GM, Bill Guerin. Guerin's a tough guy. He has been to the mountaintop more than once, and he knows what it takes to get there. And the best part is he wants to get back. The Wild face some real financial hardships of their own doing, with Guerin not only calling the shots, but more important, setting the tone. I believe that they are finally headed in the right direction. More important, Kirill Kaprizov, he thinks so too. All right. Thank you for joining us. A big thanks to our panel of contributors and, of course, to Nick Gross and the good friends of ours at northernlids.com. Check them out, northernlids.com. Nick, you see the guys there doing it. They want some scratch. Help me out, brother. Can we hook these guys up? We'll do what we can. We want to thank you for engaging with Let's Play Every Day and the Let's Play Sports Network. And we will hope we see you right back here tomorrow. See ya. Be good.